encompasses Cuyahoga County, and I'm really proud to say that because I was actually born and raised in East Cleveland. I went to all the schools there, so for me to be able to come back and actually be the judge in the place where I was born and raised, the city where I made mistakes like every young person, the city where I got in trouble like a lot of young people get in trouble, and then to be able to turn it all the way around and come back and be the judge in that community is something that's huge to me. And in fact, I'm proud to say that in my court, the team that we have together, we have several people from the community working for the court. I have my bailiff, Maurice Sanders, who went to Shaw and all the other schools in East Cleveland. We have D'Angelo Little, who's a magistrate in the court, grew up in East Cleveland, as well as our clerk of courts. And that's important to me because, you know, oftentimes when we come from these communities, whether it's East Cleveland, 55th, whatever, people tend to think that we're limited in what we can do. You know, people tend to look at young black people and think that you can only go so far. So for me, it's very rewarding to have a whole team of people who grew up in the same neighborhood and experience the same experiences that you have and that you're going through right now. So that's a wonderful thing. And the last thing I'll say before I pass it on, I don't want to hog the time, because you know a lawyer can talk. I was a lawyer a criminal defense lawyer for 10 years before I decided to run for judge. And one of the things I continued to see was so many of our people getting caught in the legal system. So I tried from that point on to figure out ways that I could reach the community. I started writing books. I started speaking to students. I have programs in all types of schools, and then eventually I ran for judge. And now, when I go out and speak in my court, we're on this movement. We call ourselves cycle breakers, because our goal is to break the cycle of negativity that is so prevalent in our community, the cycles of dropping out of school, the cycle of teen pregnancy, the cycles of hopelessness. So when you come into East Cleveland's court, yes, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of whatever mistakes you make, but at the same time, I'm going to make sure that you lead with a little bit of empowerment to be cycle breakers. So that's what I'm about. My name is Judge William Dawson, and it's East Cleveland's court. Let me pass it along.
Good morning. Turn it on. I think I might turn it off. All right. So, good morning. My name is. You broke a judge. I didn't tell the judge what to do. Good morning. My name is Juan Gillian. I'm a youth coordinator at the Salvation Army, and just make it really brief, like, my job is to make sure every young person that comes through our office be successful, whereas education, athletically, spiritually, and we try to flip the model around. Instead of doing a lot of talking, we like to hear from you guys and to help make it make sense. So to kind of be the segue between the teachers, the parents, the judges, the businessmen, because I found a lot of times kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So we're trying to make sure that you guys know that we're here for y'all.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here to see all these young, bright faces. I want to say to the young brothers that you have figured out the first key to success is to get up early and be thinking about doing something constructive, because so many other people are asleep. You already have a jump start. You'll be 2 or 3 hours into your day, connecting with people, developing ideas. So even though you may be a little sleepy, know that you're in the right place, and it all starts with getting up early and getting after it. My name is Randall McShepard. Grew up in the city of Cleveland. Proud to say I'm one of 3 kids that grew up in a single parent household. I was, just to cut to the chase, I had 27 first cousins. I was the only one that went to college and graduated. Fast forward to today, I'm the vice president of a $4 billion chemical coatings company headquartered in Medina, Ohio. I'm the only person of color. So we can talk a lot about challenges that you will continue to face as life goes on, but if you're in it to win it and you're committed, nothing can stop you. So look forward to talking to you young men further. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Anthony Williams. I grew up in the St. Clair Superior Huff neighborhood with Juan. I actually met him when we were about 9 or 10 years old. And also Basheer. He lived right across the street from me, so these guys are my best friends. We graduated from MLK High School. I worked as a loan officer and then as a business analyst. I was one of the only one of the only young businessmen of color, so one of the youngest analysts of color. So that actually means a lot to me, and it means a lot to me to be here. So I'll just make it brief, but a few things that I want you all to look forward to is that I am currently finishing the development of an app, so you'll be able to get it, a cell phone app. It's called My Dish, which means My Discovery is Happening Here, and also a book called From Here to Anywhere, and that is almost done, so you'll be able to get that as well. So I'm definitely excited to be here, and don't be afraid to ask any questions that you may have, because that's why we're here.
So you have in front of you a wealth of knowledge. And the cool part about it is as much as I love hip-hop music, there's no rappers or athletes up here. So you can make money doing something else, right? Right? So, be mindful of that, So what we want to do, we want to open up the floor to where you can ask questions. And personally, if I was sitting in your seat, I would ask questions about how they did it, how they got there, some of the obstacles they bumped into, how they leaned on people in their community, how they asked for help, any of the things that you would have questions around, or typically you wouldn't want to ask, you got a wealth of knowledge in here. So do we have any questions? Anybody want to step up? Okay, we got one right here. You can stand up.
What are some of the challenges you face as a successful black man, and how did you handle those challenges?
So, here's a secret. The more successful you get, the more challenges going to come your way. But the way that I handle them is I surround myself with people who's better than me. So if I'm hanging with folks, if I'm the smartest person, I probably need to get a new circle. You mentioned no rappers or athletes up here. Anthony said this, we're all a bunch of washed up athletes though, but it's something that I learned, like playing college basketball is. In high school, I was the all-time leading scorer. But then when I got to college, my first year, I had to come off the bench. Something that I wasn't used to, but I had to dig deep and lean on people that was around me because that year we won the national championship. No, it wasn't because I was scoring all the points, but it was because I was doing my part and leaning on the people that was around me. So no one is successful by themselves, but a lot of people fail alone. So a lot of people think you gotta do it by yourself, but you just lean on people who have your best interests at heart.
And another thing I think you have to be flexible. And what I mean by that is you're going to have challenges at various stages, whether it's in high school and then when you move to that next level at college and then graduate school, your first job, working your way through corporate America. You have to continue to be flexible and understand that there are going to be challenges. So it's not always going to be easy. It may seem like that when you look at certain people, you wonder, how did they get there? Was it an easy road? Most times it's not. So stay in the game, make sure you remain flexible, and I do have an album coming out. I watched that back too.
Yeah, I just want to say really quickly that you have to ask yourself, what is the challenge? We had dinner a lot, and we just had a dinner for Juan's birthday, and we actually made a joke about our high school because I think the highest math class that our high school offered was like algebra or something like that. So it's like, when you get to college, you have to take calculus, so you're missing about 4 steps. So you have to ask yourself, what is the challenge? Are you up to it? Can you handle it? Because everything that you go through, to some people it's a challenge, but to some people, they see it as an opportunity to be better than where you come from and better than what people expect from you. So just ask yourself, what is the challenge, and be prepared to be better than the standards that you set for yourself.
And I would say to the young brother, obstacles for a black man in America, obstacle number 1 is negativity. People look at you, they don't look at you a certain way, they don't expect you to be at the top of your game. Oftentimes when you start to rise from your condition, people that you thought were in your camp start to look at you differently. And so this is where we get the whole phenomenon. To the younger boys, that being cool isn't smart, so if you're starting to kind of elevate and maybe start talking about going to college and being responsible, people can't quite handle that, or there's a crab in the bucket mentality where if you're going to go too far up, I want to pull you back down. So I think the way you get around that is to surround yourself with positive people. And I love the story that these brothers talked about, you know, growing up together and still together today. I heard a saying recently that small-minded people discuss people. Average-minded people discuss events. And brilliant-minded people discuss ideas. So you want to be in a room or associate yourself with a clique that is thinking about ideas, how to change the world, how to open up a new business, how to change the condition of our community, how to be positive in whatever they do. Because steel sharpens steel, you'll feed off each other, you always have that support base. And that's what's going to carry you through the negativity that will always be out there. So I would encourage you to, just like the people that got up with you this morning to be here, is continue to surround yourself around positive people. It makes all the difference.
So if I could expand, you brought up something that I think it happens quite a bit, where smart isn't cool. And most of us in here, I would assume, grow up in neighborhoods where I'm under 38 in Harvard. I was raised in the projects over here on 40. And a lot of times you go to schools where if you are smart, it can make it rough for you. Can we talk a little bit about how you gentlemen worked through that, how you got through that?
Definitely. Quick story. So in middle school, I used to get bullied for doing my homework, wearing the uniform. They used to shoot spitballs at me. So you know, school was out at 2:30. So at 2:28, I'm watching the clock. Because as soon as the bell rang, I'm slamming my books and I'm hitting the streets, right? So as time went on, it started to shift because those same guys that made fun of me for being a nerd or being cool, now they come into my office for entry-level positions and they want to work. And it's like, man, I wish I would listen. So everyone, in high school, yeah, they talk about you for doing all your homework and all that stuff. But who wants to be poor? Who wants to be at the bottom of the totem pole? I think they just give you a hard time because they don't really understand what success is. And you seem like a foreigner because you latched on to something that's greater and they don't understand it. So that story that I shared, like, it was hard to like talk about at first. I'm like, man, why are people hating me for doing my homework? But if no one around them did their homework, that's normal. So you, like you said, stepping outside of yourself and being successful, they may not understand it at first, but it always come back around that way.
And real quick, to piggyback off that, you know, that's a great question, because when I go into the schools now, you know, sometimes I'm very pleased and happy, and other times I'm a little disappointed because you just see the larger culture where everyone wants to be cool. And I look at it like too many of us, young people, put the value on being cool rather than being successful. And you have to be really careful because I think the way that media is set up, the way music is set up nowadays, that's what's really pushed. You know, it's about, you know, carrying your swag and dressing a certain way, you know, the pants down low. And I just think the focus too often for our young people is on being cool. It's almost like that's the goal. And what you don't really understand is that the people who are successful, they enjoy the same things, they enjoy the same music, but at the same time, they're able to switch it off and know that, okay, I better get my grades together so that when I graduate, I can get a job, or you know, I want to open a business. So they know how to switch it on and off, but too many people in our community, we take that cool, that desire to be cool, and the next thing you know, I see them in my court for various offenses, for committing crimes, for following the crowd, for doing everything that everybody else is doing. So I would just encourage the young people out there to have the foresight and think about your future and how you want to be successful and kind of try to balance it. I mean, there is a balance between being cool, being, you know, young, but at the same time knowing that you want to achieve your goals.
Just to kind of piggyback off what Judge Dawson said, I think that's powerful because it is exactly what we try to fight against. The media is pushing a message of coolness and drug use, or drug abuse. So when that message is being pushed, And our young people can't go home and see how education is an asset. They can't go home and see, oh, my mom has a PhD, my dad has done this, my uncle has done this. So when they don't see that, it becomes something that is not of the norm. So when they see another young person being different, then it creates a tension, and that's how the young person begins to feel that pressure. So, it's just the media, and it's just the lack of being able to go home and see a more positive reinforcement of the image that we should be aspiring to.
You have a question?
Maybe the question should be readdressed to ask exactly what is the definition of being cool? And if being cool is doing drugs and drinking and breaking your body down and cussing because you only have a 2-word vocabulary, then maybe that should be looked at maybe at that perspective. And the first question is, are you related to Wayne Dawson?
Yes.
And to you gentlemen, do you feel that as though now at the point you are in your life, you've reached your purpose here on earth? In other words, do you feel that this is what you were put here to do, and if you had a chance to do it all over again, would you do it the exact same way?
I heard a great quote, and so I want to share that with you. And it is that I'm 29 years old, just to say that. But there are people here, gentlemen here that are older than I am. But I'm willing to bet that the one thing that they've never seen is a U-Haul behind a hearse. And I say it again, because a lot of people may be like me, and you need to hear things twice. So you will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. And that's because you can't take the gifts that you have, you can't take it with you. A lot of you young people are, you've been blessed with the gift of kindness, love. You can calculate a math problem in your head or write a song in your head, and you've also been given the gift of suffering, something like I have. And suffering means that you can endure problems that other people just like you can't face, and you'll come out of those better. So just to say it again, you will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. And so the gifts that you have, the question is, what are you going to do with them? And I think that I certainly haven't reached my purpose, and that's why I wake up early and I go to sleep late, so that I can display my talents and give back and put those things do a full array of my gifts. So I certainly haven't reached my end.
I think personally that I am fulfilling my purpose. I think I'm at a point in life where I understand my purpose, but I wouldn't say my work is done. I certainly hope my work isn't done, because I feel like I have so much more to do. But those that know me know that I've been involved in many projects that are about building people up, building up the city of Cleveland. And if I had to give myself a tagline, it would be helping people in organizations maximize their potential. That's pretty much what I consider my purpose. So helping people to succeed in school, helping people to dream big about what they want to do with their lives, helping to knock down obstacles and barriers as people go about their work and chasing their dreams. I think that's really my purpose, and I'm glad to do it and look forward to doing more of it.
Okay, so the first part of your question is if we could do it a different way, would we? And I don't think I would, because every day something is happening and it kind of helps prepare for what's coming ahead. So if I wouldn't have went through all the struggles and adversity back then I wouldn't look at life the way I do. And as far as my purpose, I don't think any of us can be content with the job that we've done, because when we look around, we still see suffering, we still see mental slavery or just zombies, people walking around. So I think all of us on this panel feel that there's a lot more work to do, but it can't be one-sided though. So these type of forums, it can't be just a monologue. Like if you guys are sitting there, y'all have to take part in what's going on, because we've been to school, we have jobs already, so what we said may not mean anything to y'all, but 5 minutes later you have a question, you have to take part in it because nobody's going to wait for us, and we can't keep hearing what no one cares about us, no one is here for us. So y'all have to kind of take more interest in what's going on around y'all before we become more statistics.
Took the mic all the way down. A few quick points. Just to end up the conversation about the cool culture, one of the things I will commend everyone on in here is that everyone is attentive, you're sitting up. Oftentimes when I go and speak to some of the schools, it's amazing how the body language of our people it's just so negative. And I'm wondering to myself, how do you make it through a day? I'm here at 8:30 in the morning or 9 o'clock in your first period session, and you're already, slouching and not energized. So part of that cool culture for some reason is just to be cool, not engaged. So we have to fight against that because to be successful, you have to be engaged. As far as the purpose, with me becoming judge, I think it's really, I'm almost at the point where I can fully realize my purpose. For a long time, for those who know me, it's always been to help people be the best that they can be. So I've been doing programs and everything aimed at that. And specifically being a lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer, I wanted to help keep people out of the justice system. Of course, I enjoyed making money when I was out there, but at the same time, I just hate seeing so many young people caught in the legal system. I mean, I would have clients next to me getting sentences of 20 years to life based on bad decisions that they made. So my goal and my purpose was to stop that in whatever way I could. So luckily, I'm blessed at this point where I'm really fulfilling my purpose. I have programs, I'm outreaching as much as I can, and I think I'm just at that point. But as all the panelists said, that doesn't stop. We have to keep on moving. As long as we are here, especially those of us up here, those men and women in this room, we are blessed to be where we are, so we have to keep working. So I think we will do that. And just really quick, you asked about my brother, Wayne Dawson, who does work for Fox 8. And one of the benefits I had growing up in East Cleveland, and I'm gonna twist this because we all have the same benefit. When I was out there doing wrong, making bad decisions, worrying my mother because my mother was a single mom, I always kind of looked up to my brother and saying, I better not go that far because I'd hate for him to have to report on television that my little brother got arrested or my little brother, any of those situations. So that was the model that kind of kept me in check. So I say to all of you, if you don't have that type of model, which a lot of us don't, you have them all sitting around you. The men and women that have invested their Saturday, and not even just Saturday, months, and probably years into planning this event, they are your models. So you should say to yourself, you know what, I don't want to let those gentlemen and those women down because they believe in me. And that's what it's going to take to be successful.
How do we get more of the adults, especially men? How important do you think that is for them to be in the lives of, there seems to be a disconnect between generations, between the men, the adult men, the young boys, and the young guys, and we kind of look at them like, you guys are terrible, or you just done a third. How are you guys reaching out to the young guys on a regular basis, and how important is that?
So you said how do we reach out to the fathers or the young men? Which part?
Whatever came to your mind.
All right. So the way I put that in action is all the young guys that come in my center, ages 16 to 25, maybe 98% of them never had a father in their life, right? So I always drive this point home, like, what it was like waking up every day, wishing that you had someone there, or hoping that you got a basketball game and you make a shot and you can look at the bleachers and see your dad. So you know what that burning sensation feel like. So now it's in your hands to never make anyone that you're responsible for feel that way. So you empower them. You have to pull on stuff that makes sense to them. Like, you have to actually come down to them at times and say, so Saturday morning you watch your cartoons by yourself and you have to take your little brother to school. When your dad called with his new family. Remember? So you remember how that made you feel? So make sure you don't repeat that. I just keep breaking all the right stuff. So yeah, just make sure you don't let history keep repeating itself.
It's important too to take responsibility. as a quick joke, the first time he broke the mic, he blamed it on me. He didn't take responsibility. But he did this time. So, you know, it's showing that we can all change. It's important for our young men to understand that, you know, life is bigger than what we see. I was out with my team the other day, and we were at the new, I think it's Pilata or something up in, it's on C. And they put a little bit of the history in the menu about how the guy started it. And basically he was involved in another restaurant or two, and then he sold his shares and went over to Italy and was inspired by what they were doing there, so came back here and opened up the restaurant. And I said, I was like, that's the problem with our community. And it's unfortunate, we don't look beyond where we are. And sometimes we can't physically get there, but we can mentally get there. You can go to the libraries, you can open up these books, and you can dream bigger than where we are. I had to dream bigger than East Cleveland. You can dream bigger than Cleveland. And once you start doing that, then you'll move in that direction, and the little things, the little mistakes, you'll put them off, you'll try to avoid them. So oftentimes the reason men aren't in the young people's lives is because we get into that responsibility a little too soon before we're actually ready. We have children and we get into these serious relationships before we're able to really experience them the way we should. And I think a part of that is a lack of vision. So if we start looking at our future as being unlimited, then it won't be so much importance put on this relationship and having a child or starting a family when you're not ready to do it. Because that's one of the biggest problems. Our young men, you know, we have great intentions, but at 19, 17, 16, we're not ready to be fathers. So when it happens, there's a disconnect because it's inevitable because we're still growing. Now sometimes it works out. There's no doubt about that. We have some good men who work hard and it works out, but that's not the best scenario. We just have to dream bigger, we have to plan bigger, and that way we can put off some of these little things that kind of get us caught up in our community.
You're afraid to touch the mic now. I took Basheer's question a little differently. I kind of got from it, you know, this intergenerational schism that we see with different generations of men that don't necessarily see about the caring and feeding of the next generation and maybe looking down on them because they're not doing it the way they think they should do it, and not being supportive necessarily of things they're trying to do, and you know, wanting to hold on to all of the resources and the power and all of that. I just think we have to realize that it will take all of us, all facets, all ages in our community to lift Cleveland and East Cleveland to where it needs to be. And it really, for me, I don't care how busy I am, if I can't take a half an hour to sit down with a young college student or to go to an elementary school and read with a third grader, if I can't do that, then I can say all I want to say about wanting to see the community better, even though I'm a father and I have my own kids to be responsible for. We are our brother's keeper, and we have to do all that we can to ensure that anyone that's trying to do something constructive can have an audience, somebody who's willing to listen to them, help them make connections with the right people, because a lot of young people have brilliant ideas that could take us into the 21st century, but they're oftentimes being kind of pushed back and quieted because people feel that, you know, they're stepping on their toes, or they run the risk of taking their power. And that's really wrong. So that's really critical, I think, to our community's future. We have to listen and help all ages of our community to get where they want to go.
And just really quickly, like these gentlemen have said, one of the issues is fatherhood readiness. A lot of people in our community just aren't ready to be fathers. But not only that, it's more so the fact that in our culture, it's more acceptable to have multiple women or maybe multiple families and then not take care of them. And so what it's going to take is for us to, first and foremost, become those role models and show that you can have a good life and you can raise your family and be responsible and still have all of the things that you desire. And also, sometimes we have to pick up the slack. Sometimes, like I know personally, I get up, I take kids to get haircuts, I go to school plays, I go, you know, just whatever we can do to kind of become that father figure for someone else, because someone may have done it for you like they did for me.
Let me ask you guys something, and I'm sure that these kids, these young men, these ladies just walk in, probably see this all the time. Speak to how they can protect themselves against buying into the images that the media portrays of us as African-American men, African-American women. I mean, in my household right now, I'm talking to my wife and my kids about understanding that black is beautiful, and understanding that, you know, there was a point in time in our history where we really kings and queens, but now the media is portraying this image again that people like you don't exist, right? And if they do exist, they can't make a lot of money, or they don't give back. Speak to some of the things that they might be able to do again to thwart off some of these images that the media is portraying.
Well, first, I think we have to understand the role of the media and what that is. Gucci Mane, Waka, all these movies, you gotta remember, there's a producer, so every time they say cut, stop, this don't work that way, all right, let's shoot it from this angle. You guys are forgetting that it's entertainment. These guys, once Young Jeezy get out of the studio, he probably drive to a house bigger than Cleveland State. He's not on the block selling bricks anymore like that. And the lives that they portraying or making you guys think is the reality, they're really lying. So, but we think the song is so sweet that we're gonna try to imitate it. Or women, like you guys have so much power. No man worth talking to wants to see you in a miniskirt because he don't want the rest of the world to see his woman like that. And if you get 100 people approaching because you got a miniskirt on, you have to think, is he coming at me because of my physical attributes or what's up in my brain? Well, he don't know what's in your brain because he's distracted by everything below your waist. So just remember that it's entertainment, the director yells cut. I'm sure he can talk about his brother being on TV. They got a script every day that they have to read, and they dictate what they want y'all to believe is reality. Because I know a lot of rappers that have master's degrees, and they ain't got nothing more than a traffic ticket before, and they lying to y'all. So just remember that.
I'll be real brief. The media and the images, it is really dangerous. When I have people in my courtroom and then we do the programs, and oftentimes I'm able to have one-on-ones with some individuals, and it's just amazing the mentality that we've accepted. The fighting, you know, women fighting each other, girls fighting each other, you know, the violence that goes